Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you had a nice snow day yesterday and that you have a nice day today. So, I have a lot of options for you today. So, let me tell you what's going on and then I will let you go to work. I am going to have office hours that I will be available to talk to you and answer any questions. Let me look at our schedule for today. All right, so my first block students, we start at 10:55. So I'll say 11 to 11:30. I'll be available with office hours. I'll put a Zoom in Canvas, but it's not mandatory. That'll be optional. My fourth block kiddos, let's say 2 to 2:30. I'll be available for you if you want help or want to chat. Okay. All right, so the first thing that you should be doing today is finishing up that Socratic seminar paper that we were doing in class. So you should have already filled out part 1, your answers to the questions. And then on Wednesday, we participated in the Socratic seminar. So you wrote a goal for yourself in the discussion. You gave your partner feedback. Your partner gave you feedback. So the last step down here, your reflection. So look at your goal. Think about, did you achieve it? How successfully or unsuccessfully did you work towards it? And also overall, how was your participation in the Socratic seminar in terms of the rubric and just being a compassionate listener? Okay, so give a reflection. It can be short, but reflect on your participation. Once you have that all filled out, you can go ahead and submit it right here to the Socratic seminar page in Canvas. If your partner did not get a chance to give you enough feedback on Wednesday, I am going to give you a moment Monday if you need it to touch base with your partner and finish filling this out. So if you are unable to submit this paper today, that's okay. I will offer that to you on Monday. Then with that done, we can go officially. Sorry, my baby's making noise. We can go officially. Now she's looking at me. Officially into memoir and narrative writing. So I'll explain the memoir as we go into the unit more. But basically, you're going to write a short story using all good literary elements and some literary devices for narrative writing. And you're going to tell a story about your life, something that is significant to you, but through storytelling techniques, including conflict and characterization. But to get us there, we're going to analyze one example story along the way. So this is what we'll start with then today. The short story is called My Dad Tried to Kill Me with an Alligator. And I'm going to start reading it to you, but then I will leave you to read the rest on your own. So we'll be analyzing a lot of different literary elements and devices in the story as we learn them throughout the next few weeks. Your first keystone list, and I'll be talking about this in just a moment. We'll analyze some terms in here, why this seems like it would be a work of fiction, although it is nonfiction. We'll be looking at plot specifically today, including the exposition, setting, rising action, conflict, climax, falling action, resolution. We'll also be thinking about some elements of fiction, such as literary elements and devices, sensory language, and figurative language. Next week, we'll be going into tone and mood and some other things. All right, so pay close attention as you read today to the plot, the events of the story, and also think about the figurative language, the language that the author is using very purposefully to demonstrate an effect, make the reader feel something or be engaged in the storytelling differently than if they did not use figurative language, if they were just speaking literally. All right, so Harrison Scott Key, My Dad Tried to Kill Me with an Alligator. He writes, the Pearl River is full of trash, Volkswagen-sized catfish, and a heck of a lot of gators. Swimming in it? That was Pop's idea. In the summer of 1987, my father tried to murder me with an alligator. He was always doing fun stuff like that to see if we would die. Sometimes he tried to murder us with other things, like gasoline, when we'd say to our Pop, the leaves won't burn. In rural Mississippi, my brother and I were always burning things like leaves and garbage and carcasses, and sometimes he told us to put gas on the fire because he believed a fire could teach boys about life. Sometimes he tried to murder us with recreational watercraft. This happened on our way to fish in the Pearl River, where he enjoyed piloting our Venture bass boat at speeds typically reserved for cosmonaut training. He cut perpendicular across the wake, launching skyward, the bow of our glittering boat pitched so high that it obscured the rising sun. And we'd slam back down on the water so hard it felt like we landed on the interstate. To this day, I cannot injure my coccyx without thinking fondly of the man. As a boy, my interests largely concerned the life of the mind, writing poems, reading about the origins of Latin Vulgate, plowing through science fiction stories about Captain Nemo and his Nautilus. The only thing I'd ever seen my father read was a booklet about how to mask your odor in the woods with bobcat urine. Sometimes it was hard to believe he was even my father. "Is it safe to go fast?" I'd ask after he tried to outrun a jet ski with his boat. I didn't mind being in the boat with him, it was nice. But I did mind being out of the boat, especially when there were alligators in the water, as there were on that day in 1987. "Get in," he said. "Sir?" "In." I was 12, my brother was 15, and it was July, so we were bored. "Hey, Fat Tart," my brother said. "Want to go fishing?" He'd started calling me Fat Tart because he thought I was fat, which I was, owing to a glandular disorder that made me eat Pop-Tarts until I stopped feeling sad. My brother was tall and blond, so we called him Bird, as in Big Bird. It didn't seem fair, his being nicknamed for a character designed to give people joy, and I'd been named for a food product designed to give children diabetes. "Fishing," I said, "just you and me?" Bird possessed the two key components to being a true adolescent badass: a driver's license and a mullet. He'd also been shot in the eye with a pellet rifle, which split his pupil in half and made him squint, which made him look like a pirate. It might be dangerous going to the river with Bird, but it also felt like a badass thing to do. "Okay," I said. Pop wanted to say no, you could tell. It's written somewhere in boating safety manuals that you don't let people named Bird and Fat Tart borrow your bass boat, even if they are your own sons. But some part of him must have been proud, seeing his boys ask permission to do something that could get them killed. Pop agreed to let us go and gave a stern warning that if anything happened to his boat, he'd have our rectum surgically removed and turned into hats. Mom warned us too. "Watch out for those giant catfish," she said. We'd all heard about the giant blue cats in the Pearl River, the ones that followed scuba divers whole. Although nobody could ever produce the name of the divers or why anyone would choose to recreationally dive in a river not generally known to contain either coral reefs or visibility. Besides, there were realer things in the water, like massive knots of water moccasins, and snapping turtles the size of laundry baskets, and gar, a prehistoric fish with the face of a pterodactyl and the teeth of Gary Busey. Also present, alligator Mississippianitis. They were everywhere, lying on the sandbars, slinking out of the mudslides, heads pushing up through the fields of lily pads. Sometimes they bite your lure if the crankbait was fat enough. It was a powerful thing to find yourself fighting the heft of a 600-pound, 37-million-year-old brute. "I bet a gator would like to eat you, Fat Tart," Bird said. He stuck a finger into my fatness and made a farting sound, as though to suggest I was full of strawberry filling. "You think we'll see one?" I said. "I ain't scared of gators," Bird said. "Shit, gators ought to be scared of me." The Pearl River is a lovely old thing, slow and coppery and traced in fine sandy bars for 500 miles on the way to the Gulf. Off the main channel, it's home to wild peacocks and black bears and other things with mouths. Bird and I fished in the mid-morning haze, and I watched the water with interest, trying to pretend like I was not looking madly for the thing I knew was down there. "Let's swim," Bird said. "No thanks." "You scared?" "No, I just don't want to die." It's an interesting sensation, knowing there's something underneath you that could eat you, and all you have to do is fall in, and there it would be, this creature, terrible enough to be in the book of Job, a thing that cannot be drawn out with a mere fishhook. "There," Bird said. I turned and saw it, the flat, wide, serrated head scrutinizing us. We waited, frozen in the sodden heat, our poles dangling, the line growing slack, nodding up in the deep. We watched the black eyes of this biblical monster. When it looked at us, what did it see? Did it wish for some animal fellowship, some longing in its bones since the time of Eden? Had some metaphysical vibration drawn it to the surface to seek spiritual intercourse with these two brothers, so very near, this Abel and this Cain, all ages and epochs of earth collapsing into just a few feet of water and air? Had I read too many books, tried to build too much meaning into every moment? Was this merely a large amphibious predator who wished to eat us? Or was it a metaphor, drawing me towards something deeper, some truth that lay hidden under the black water? "Let's catch it," Bird said. "Catch it?" "I got my pistol," he said. 22's all it takes." Bird wished to carry home the fiend, I think, and present it to our father as evidence of our being men and also insane. He cast his spinner bait at its head. "Please stop," I said. "Bet you could ride one. You're making it mad." "Good." Bird cast and cast again, trying to convince the animal to bite, to come closer, the line zipping out, the lure plopping near its teeth, and then the beast descended and was gone. I turned my head to see where it would come up for air, and in all my twisting, a terrible thing happened. I knocked out one of the rods. "Get it," Bird said. I lurched, threw myself across the gunwale, reaching out across the black. The boat dipped, rocked. If I leaned more, we might capsize. In seconds, the rod would be gone. "I'm trying. Get it. I'm trying." The rod bobbed there just below the surface, its last bubbles escaping and then vanished. We sat there for a long time. "That's a $200 rod." $200 sounded like a lot, like drug dealer money. It was an Abu Garcia, a birthday present from Pop, a heavy and beautiful rod built to last forever. "What do we do?" I said. "The heck you think we do, fat tart?" he said. "Go get it." We stared at the water some more. "Go," he said. "I was waiting on you to go." "I ain't going." If an alligator attacked Bird, I believed he might actually have the ability to punch it in the head and get away, while my own defensive tactic was to go limp, as a courtesy to whatever might be trying to eat me. "Screw it," Bird said. "Yeah, screw it," I said, trying to sound badass. We'd reached the outer edges of our courage and found it wanting. Late that afternoon, we told Pop, and he did something even more upsetting than turning our asses into hats. "Hitch up the boat," he said. "We're going back." Pop drove like a man possessed. He'd thrown a few strange items into the boat, but we couldn't see what. Did he really think we could find the rod? I sort of pitied him, or maybe what I felt was embarrassment, that this was the man who made me, this loud and reckless and ignorant man who did not read books. Maybe it's obvious to suggest that there comes a time in a child's life when he stops believing that his father is Superman and sees that he's just a man with his own nameless spiritual diseases, and for me, I think it was that time. When we arrived, what I saw on the boat disturbed me. There he'd placed a large old stop sign we found years before by the side of a road, and an assortment of industrial strength hooks large enough to snag a leviathan. We got the boat into the water. "Take me to where you was," he said. What was he going to do with the stop sign? Hit somebody with it? Threaten the alligators with traffic laws? Finally, we came to the quarter of our shame. The shadows were stark now, moving, darkening. It would soon be night. Everything was blue, the hour of day when bugs dance, when fish jump, when alligators feed. "All right," Pop said. "Get in." Okay, I'm going to pause there and have you read the rest on your own. So what I would like you to do with the story as you're reading or when you're done reading is to think about the plot, the elements of the story as they happen. So I have two options for how you analyze the plot. I have a little classwork assignment that we'll be talking about on Monday. So this is your first option. Actually, let me click on it. I have a Jamboard that hopefully you are able to make a copy of, like a Google Doc. If you go here, make a copy, it should work for you. Otherwise, just on any Word doc or whatever, just identify from the story in just a phrase or a few words. What is the setting and the characters or anything else in the exposition? What is the inciting incident of the story that starts the problem? What is the problem? And that'll help you figure out who's the protagonist, probably our main character, Fat Tart. Who or what is the antagonist? Give me a few examples of the rising action. What might be the climax, the turning point? What might be something in the falling action, and what might be a resolution, okay? So you can just do that as you read, and then do our ongoing assignments for this week, which would be a blog post about your Unit 2 vocab words, something creative with them, and to achieve articles. Okay, so that can be your day for me. Option 2, if you want to instead work on what would have been your quiz for today and what we'll be doing on Monday in class, instead of doing that classwork, you can just do this open-ended. Okay, so you don't need to do both right now. Otherwise, we will be doing both eventually, but you'll have time in class. But instead of doing that, if you just want to do the open-ended after you read our story, you can do this open-ended response. The prompt is, using evidence from the passage, analyze how the author balances motivating the plot. So that's why you can do this instead, because you'll need to talk about the plot. And providing descriptive writing through figurative language to engage and orient the reader. Okay, so it should be like 6 sentences. You answer the prompt correctly. You have evidence from the passage. You explain it. Additional evidence from the passage. Explain it and say why it matters. We are going to talk more about figurative language on Monday, though. So if you would rather wait and do this Monday, we'll have time to do this on Monday. But if you want to go ahead and spend your time today working on this instead of doing that classwork, that is also up to you. All right, either way, when you're done, write a blog post doing something creative with your Unit 2 vocabulary words. So here's a link to the words. Here are some options. Some of you last time wrote a little story about your words. That's fine. And then your achieve articles. Okay, if this is taking you too long, just send me an email. Let me know. We can push some of this off to Monday. Otherwise, that's what I would like you to do. All right, I will have my office hours, like I said, whatever time I said we would have them, at 10:30 or at 2. All right, so email me any questions. I can talk to you then if you need me. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy reading the story, and I will see you all on Monday. Thanks.